everyone, here's the Book Chemist once again. Today I'm reviewing La Malnata, The Cursed Friend by Beatrice Salvioni, a book that's caught my attention when I spotted it in a local bookshop, because I realized that the author is not only almost the same age as me, but she is from my hometown, from Monza in Italy. The Cursed Friend is the story of the peculiar friendship between two girls living in Monza in the 1930s at the apogee of the fascist regime in Italy. Francesca, the protagonist and the narrator, comes from a prim middle-class family, whereas Maddalena, the cursed one, La Malnata, as she is nicknamed across town, is from a working-class family, and she is ostracized by most of the city. She has a reputation for bringing bad luck and for being almost some kind of witch child. If this sounds slightly familiar, it's because it does call to mind a little bit the core of the plot of My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. The parallel is definitely there. It's been remarked on extensively by reviewers of The Cursed Friend. And if you enjoyed My Brilliant Friend, I can guarantee that you're going to love The Cursed Friend too, and I encourage you to read it. That said, I do believe that there are some fairly crucial differences between the two books that are worth remarking on. Salvioni's novel is less of a choral novel than Ferrante's. Ferrante's novels famously have a massive, sprawling cast of characters, whereas in The Cursed Friend, you really have only just about a handful of characters that crop up in every scene and give the novel a very different feel. Moreover, they are focused on two very different worlds, not so much the changing world of southern Italy during the economic boom following World War II, which is Ferrante's world, the world she is trying to capture, but the world of the opulent and sleepy province in northern Italy, a world that seems unchanging, where the rules and the society's assumptions about what is right and what is proper seem unchangeable, eternal, unquestionable, and monolithic. To me, The Cursed Friend is first and foremost a great book about childhood and about that moment at the end of childhood where you are starting to become, if not an adult, at least a young adult, and your worldview, your body and your mind are all changing at the same time. The locations in the novel are, for instance, the city's cathedral or the Lion's Bridge in the city center of Monza, crossing the river Lambro, or the residences of the various characters in the novel. They're all really very close. They are a 10-20 minute walk away from one another at most. And yet when Francesca has to go from one of these places to the other in the novel, it feels almost like an odyssey, because that's what it feels like. A trip to a different neighborhood when you're 11 or 12 sometimes can feel like an adventure, like a big deal, especially if you're taking this trip behind your parents' back without their consent. The way Francesca is starting to question in the book the immovable laws that she'd also always taken for granted, such as her parents' commands, or the surface rituals of Catholicism, or the opinions of her elders or of the fascist regime. All of these are typical of an age where you're starting to question the world, an age of inner and outer discovery. The world around Francesca then, even though it feels very small, it feels confined really to just a handful of people, goes through really a revolutionary change in the course of the fairly short novel. The characters of Francesca's father and the characters of the local greengrocer are probably my favorite in the novel, because they're depicted in all of their complexities and contradictions. These are people who can be really servile and abusive and violent, and who nonetheless at the end of the day can still come across as relatively good people. And that's also part of that change at the end of childhood, where you realize that people are not just black or white. There's complexities to them and contradictions. And that, for instance, your parents are not the infallible figures that you thought, are not the gods of your world, but they are flawed and sometimes even beautiful in ways that you weren't previously suspecting. The Cursed Friend is also a beautiful physical story. All the changes and the experiences that Francesca's go through are mediated through her body in the novel, just as they are for all of us. We all experience the world through our body. See, for instance, the liberating effect that playing with La Malnata, playing with Maddalena, has in the novel, how freeing this is for her to escape the constraints of the life her mother wants to consign her to, a life of being proper and still, and spending your days at home waiting for a suitor, whereas playing freely on the riverbanks with stray cats around the city is something that really changes Francesca. Similarly, some of the horrible traumatic experience that she has to endure in the course of the novel have a truly deep impact on her, deeply on her mind and on her spirit. Ultimately, The Cursed Friend is a well-thought, well-developed story about a child's dream of shaking free of a system that seems inescapable, about questioning the sanctity of the authorities. Its plot, some elements of it at least, revolve around an abusive man, the son of a famous fascist figure in the city, and an attempted rape. And this story feels especially vibrant in a country such as Italy, where even today, when such crimes, such situations are discussed, often the public opinion seems dismissive of the experiences of women who've had to endure these crimes, almost as if people want to fall back on obtuse, obsolete, and really toxic worldviews, where there's this assumption that things like this only happen to bad women, whatever that means, and that charismatic and charming men cannot possibly be guilty. The Cursed Friend challenges all that, in that it's a really defying, really daring novel. It packs all the impact of a beautiful play, and because of its contained cast of characters, I think it would work extremely well as a play or as a movie indeed. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you thought. If you've read the novel, I do encourage you to read it. It's great. And I'm curious to see how successful it is, because it's been translated all across the world, and I wish it every success. I look forward to reading Salvioni's next book, of course. And yeah, I'm a fan. I really loved it. What did you think? Thanks as always for watching the review. Bye, everybody.